Now at 11, Portland police claim success after people tried to gather for an illegal street takeover that never happened.
Can't safely do that without a significant number of officers.
Plus, a Southern Oregon community in mourning after a crash kills 2 members of a college softball team.
There's the physical aches and pains, and then there's also the emotional.
And a local church and sanctuary for migrants is staying firm in its values against the Trump administration's stance on immigration.
We're not against the deportation, but we're asking them to follow the law.
Thanks so much for joining us here at 11. I'm John Adams. The Portland Police Bureau believes that a mission involving multiple agencies on Saturday night prevented a large street takeover event from happening in town. The mission also led to multiple arrests after some drivers attempted to flee police. On Saturday night, officers from multiple agencies monitored known street takeover hotspots.
This investigation started as a result of information that was learned late Wednesday that a group was planning a street takeover speed racing event.
Captain Christopher Burley with PPB tells us the Bureau learned about the event on social media that was expected to bring in street racers from Washington and California. Burley explained that events like this in the past have been dangerous for the community and the people involved.
Most recently, in November of 2024, a 17-year-old young man lost his life as a result of one of these events.
On Saturday night, officers with multiple agencies monitored known street takeover hotspots with the help of aerial surveillance. They stopped 37 vehicles and issued 32 citations. Officers tracked down multiple drivers who tried to elude police, including following one driver across the metro from Portland to Vancouver and back before taking them into custody in East Portland. Officers used spike strips and pit maneuvers to stop some of the vehicles. Burley says 5,100 spectators gathered multiple times in one location to witness an event that never came together.
Folks had gone down there with the belief the event was going to happen, but because of the actions of our officers throughout the night, I think that we were successful in deterring a street racing event from happening.
By the end of the night, 7 arrests had been made, 9 vehicles towed, and 4 illegally possessed firearms seized. All right, turning now to weather. Easter Sunday and Passover turned out to be a nice day to spend with family and friends. We had a few light showers rolling in this afternoon and evening, but later this week, we're going to be warming up yet again. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is along with us tonight to let us know how warm we'll be getting. Joe?
Now, we're not going to be looking at record-breaking temperatures, but for Wednesday and Thursday, low to mid 70s for those 2 days. We see temperatures right around 70 degrees. That could be our 9th and 10th day so far this month with temperatures 70 or above. On average, we get about 5 for the month of April, but this year we're on a little bit on the warmer side, and we're also going to be looking at some light passing showers the rest of tonight and early tomorrow morning. But similar to what we saw today, rainfall amounts are going to be very light, under 1/10 of an inch of rain, and we saw just that earlier today. So rainfall today across the metro area, just under 1/10, a little bit more than that over in parts of McMinnville and along the Oregon coast. You saw close to 2/10 of an inch of rain over in Astoria and 7/100 over in Tillamook along the central Oregon coast. Tomorrow we'll be waking up to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures will be in the low 40s. A few light showers could kind of filter in throughout the afternoon hours, but by late afternoon we'll be seeing a lot of sunshine with a daytime high tomorrow of 60 degrees. And as we look at futurecast tomorrow, again, it's going to be more dry than wet over the next few days, and expect to see some very pleasant conditions come Wednesday. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thank you. We'll see you then. The president of Umpqua Community College says what students, staff, and families need right now is support after a deadly crash on Friday night took the lives of 2 members of the school's softball team. Noah Chavez takes us to the scene of the tragedy and shows us how the college and the Roseburg community are coping in the wake of these losses.
Now here at milepost 23 along Highway 42 is where this deadly collision took place. You had the UCC softball team making its way along this curve when the vehicle that would eventually hit them would be moving in the opposite direction, merging onto Highway 42, cross over the double lines, and eventually hit them.
Our softball team was traveling back from a game at the coast and was hit head on.
Just a few miles east of Myrtle Point, the bus carrying the team was seen on its side, with members of the team being thrown from the impact.
Actually, Haven called us. It had to be a minute, if not seconds, after the accident.
Haven is a freshman on the inaugural UCC softball team. After being notified of the accident, her father drove out to the scene of the crash.
Looking at the scene, and it was pretty chaotic. There was flashing lights everywhere. There's probably 30 cop cars there. I did see the bus on its side.
She was in a state of trauma, but she was definitely somewhat calm. She was trying to navigate.
Tragically, freshman Kylie Jones and coach Jamie Strins did not survive the crash.
I was actually in the room with my daughter and her friends when they found out that the teammate had passed, and so that was pretty emotional. All of them were crying pretty hard, and it was just heartbreaking to know that, you know, a young teammate of theirs had passed away.
You know, I don't think anybody's injuries are minor when they've been through something like this, because there's the physical aches and pains, and then there's also the emotional, which we're focusing on right now.
The softball program led by Coach Strins is still in its infancy. Strins was working to grow the program for the future. Those impacted say the future of the team is even more important now because of her dedication to the team and her athletes.
You know, anytime a great leader passes, there's an invitation there to carry the baton and carry forth her legacy. So that's what I'm encouraging my daughter, and to encourage her team to just, you know, carry forth the legacy.
As of now, both one coach and a student athlete remain in the hospital.
This is a lot. It's a lot for a young girls. You know, like I said, most of them are freshmen, and this is a lot to carry and walk through, and they need community.
According to court records, the driver of the Chevy Silverado that hit the team's bus had previous convictions for driving while suspended, speeding, and driving uninsured. He was also charged with DUII last March. Back in the Portland Metro, a pedestrian was hospitalized with life-threatening injuries after they were hit by a car. It happened around 5:30 this evening in Gresham at Northeast 162nd and Northeast Wasco. Police say the pedestrian was not using the crosswalk when they were hit. The driver stayed on scene and was interviewed by officers. Hillsborough police are searching for a possible witness in a death investigation. Last year, in the early morning hours of October 20th, officers were called to Northeast 105th and Northeast Walker Road, where they found the body of a 24-year-old man. They're now looking for the driver of this car, who they say was driving through the area before they got on scene. Investigators believe it's a dark-colored Dodge Challenger. If you have any information about this case, call the police non-emergency line on your screen.
Today, we don't know who's going to come here tomorrow and what they're carrying, what fears or anxiety, but to walk into God's house of prayer and beauty gives all of us hope. And that's what we're about.
A local church is using this Easter Sunday as a moment to reaffirm the community of its values and send a message to the Trump administration. Our Libby Dowsett spoke to a local pastor who hopes the nation can make a fresh start on its immigration tactics. Tactics, they say, have driven fear among migrants to levels not seen before.
Local pastors say many of their members who are immigrants are scared right now and even worried about going to public places like church where they could be targeted by immigration officials. One pastor telling us this isn't how it's supposed to be. Churches have always been a sanctuary.
The pressure right now and the fear is the greatest I've ever seen.
Pastor Mark Knutson at Augustana Lutheran Church in Northeast Portland has faced immigration battles before. In 2014, the church provided months of sanctuary for Francisco Aguirre, who fled El Salvador as a teen when his family was killed. In 2014, U.S. federal agents came after him.
They circled the church. We had to go to court. But that was very tense. And to live in a church for 81 days is not fun. You can't step outside.
If you ask me where I'm from, I'm born in El Salvador, but I believe that I'm from Oregon. I grew up here. I've been here for more than 29 years.
Even today, Aguirre knows if deported, he may never come back.
We all have the right to have a life where we don't have to fear of being killed. If I get deported, it's a death sentence for me.
I will declare a national emergency at our southern border.
President Trump's supporters say tougher immigration rules are needed to make the country a safer place. The administration is calling for illegal immigrants to self-deport or risk being banned from the U.S. for life.
What is happening today in this country is so antithetical to what we as people of faith stand for and believe as one human family.
They're asking us to respect the law, but they're not putting up that example, as a representative of law enforcement.
So what would happen right now if ICE were to come?
They would not be allowed in. There's signs on the doors. We would surround this church with thousands of people within an hour. Can you imagine if that were to happen? That would go viral around the world. I don't think those agents would want to be part of that.
A local church willing to speak up in hopes the administration will back down.
If people of faith and goodwill do not stand up, who will?
Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
Well, today is also an important day for the Jewish faith as it marks the end of Passover. In recognition, a leftist Portland group held a Liberation Seder at Columbia Park with special attention to the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Adam Siegel, one of the leaders of Jewish Voice for Peace, says the holiday is meant to observe the Israelites' liberation from slavery in ancient Egypt as if it's being lived out in the current day. He says with this event, they're drawing on Jewish tradition to stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people.
We're here to tell our own story, a story of liberation and peace and justice that is international, that's for everyone. And we're also wanting to tell a story of Judaism in contemporary American spaces that is in keeping with our values.
Instead of a traditional meal, they shared symbolic food from a Seder plate in recognition of the people facing starvation in Gaza. And a traffic alert for Portland drivers, taking a live look now at the Markham Bridge, which is in the process of fully shutting down. This is for its biennial inspection by ODOT. The bridge will reopen tomorrow morning. That'll be the case every night until early Friday morning. And a notice for people in East Portland. The Rockwood Library on Southeast Stark and 181st will be closed to the public starting Tuesday. That's so Multnomah County can renovate the building, which is expected to last until fall. Tomorrow is the library's last day open to the public.